Hey guys, as promised, we're gonna have a selector banner video. This is I'm using tier maker, but this is not a tier list video, just so you know. And it's gonna be the end, kinda, of the playlist video that I had between the end of the final beta and the official launch of the game. We had video about analyzing the team comp used for thresholding L and Inferno difficulty. Same for Green Pursuit. Then yesterday I made a reroll video, and today we're gonna talk about the selector banner. So we have a little bit of everything that you need to start the game with all the information. So check those videos if you're interested. And also before I start, I want to specify that for the selector banner, ideally, whatever, if you are free to play or like low spender or a whale, you still want to roll at least, I would say, 100, 150 roll for free to play people on the permanent banner. And then based on what you find, you're gonna decide which character you want and you need to progress in the game from the selector banner. So don't use it on day one. That's what I want to say. Save it up, and then when you have a good idea of what direction your account is going based on the role that you had so far, you can decide what you need and what you want. And so let's start right away. So I'm gonna take out of the way the row here. This called not available, not needed, is because Oyan, as far as we know, is not gonna be in the game on the official launch on day one. Freya is not in the selector banner because she's the rate up character. Lian is the free SSR that everybody will get, so is also not in the selector banner. Linglo is not needed simply because she's in the selector banner, but everybody will get Linglo for free on day 7, so I don't think it's ever a good idea to go for Linglo with the selector banner because dupes are not that important in this game, especially when it comes to characters that are not DPS. Then we're gonna move to healer. Healer, the only character that I feel like we have in this category is Mia, really. And Mia is not a bad character, especially like she also got buffed recently, like in the last patch note. But overall, because we get Linglo from day 7 event, and we have some very good SR healer character like Dorothy or Chiaki, that also, like the healer one, that also got buffed in the last patch note. We also have Valerian, even if he's not like technically a healer, I would say, but she does heal a little bit with the HP equalization or equalizer, whatever you say in English. And then we have Sanya, which is the poor girl is getting nerfed at every occasion, but she's still a healer. And so I would say Mia is not a character I would advise anyone to roll with the selector in really any situation. You could argue she's good because she has a dispel, but again, you have dispel on so many characters and some of them are SR, so you don't really need to go for Mia when it comes to dispel. And yeah, overall, I don't feel like I would advise anybody to go for Mia when it comes to the selector banner. Now we get into the juicy stuff, which is the Bruiser, supporting character, and DPS. Let's start with the DPS because the other two categories have more character to talk about. We're gonna start with Chloros. I already put them in an order that I feel like it's what I would prioritize in my situation, especially because I will not reroll, so I might be super unlucky and have no light or dark character to progress in the game. And for this reason, I will have to be very careful with the way I use my selector because it's gonna be very important for the progression in the game for me, especially early game. And Chloros got buffed in the recent patch note. I think is a very, very good character for the end game, but is not that important for early game, both because how he's gonna build up the damage, and also because he's good for mode like Union Boss and also PvP, but you don't really need him that much for Terror Maton as a DPS because you have Lian, and also because you can build character like Victor or Dieting, which are much easier to build because they are SR character. And for all this reason, I wouldn't really advise anybody unless you really like the character. Of course, this is still a game and you have to enjoy it. So if you really like Chloros, like for the design or the kit or whatever, you can go for him, and he's gonna be definitely very good for PvP eventually. But it's not a character that otherwise I would advise to anybody, and this is why I put him last in the order for the DPS. Then we have Xiada. Xiada is a very, very good water attribute DPS. The problem that she had is that compared to other characters like Rosa or Ilmoka, she take a little bit longer to build up the damage. She got buffed recently, so I think it's not even the first time she got buffed. Probably she got a buff even in the patch note that we got to before the final beta, if I remember correctly. But again, I would say between Rosa and Xiada, I would still prefer Rosa. The problem with the good thing about Xiada actually is that she's gonna be much easier to build than Rosa. She's going to require a little bit less investment. Of course, it's a DPS. The more you invest into her, the better are going to be the result. But between Rosa and Xiada, definitely Xiada is a little bit less expensive as a character to build up. But between the two, because you're gonna need a water DPS mostly for Aurora, and between the two I would still prefer Rosa, also because at that point you're gonna have a little bit of extra resource to build the character properly. So between the two, Rosa looks like a better investment to me, and this is why she's second in the ranking when it comes to DPS. And the reason that she's second is not because she's not strong. She's actually, once you finish building Rosa, she's probably arguably one of the strongest DPS in the game. The problem is that you actually have to build her, and especially for free to play, it's gonna take a lot of perfect lattice, which most people will not have early in the game. And maybe you want to spend them in other DPS, like for example the one that you use for Doki Doki, which early game is going to be more important to farm, because you're going to need the speed set for everybody, except some DPS and some other character. But yeah, ideally, I would say it's better to give priority to a DPS for Doki Doki, and this is why we have Real Mocha in the rank 1 position for the DPS. It's the character that I actually pick with the Selector in the final beta, and I absolutely have no regret about that. I have to say, she was lacking a little bit of damage when I was doing L for Doki Doki, but I would say the problem was my team building composition. I was spending too many slots for character that control turn meter and put CC, and I didn't spend enough to power up Real Mocha. So ideally you want to have a Lily or a Greyer, like someone that can amplify the damage that Real Mocha makes and make sure that she do the skill tree as many times as possible. But overall, very, very solid DPS. I would say for early game progress, she's better than Rosa. Then Rosa becomes better in end game, but definitely Real Mocha, she also requires less investment when it comes to leveling up her skill compared to Rosa. So very, very good character in my opinion. And now we can move on to the supporting characters. Now the last one is Celine's. Celine's is a very kind of like a sad character. Like, she got rework, not even buff. Like, she got the kit reworked before the final beta, because nobody was using her. Like, not nobody, but most people ignored this character before the final beta. But even then, even after the rework, she still got kind of ignored. I wouldn't say she's bad, but she just doesn't have any spot right now where she can shine and she can be like worth the investment that you're gonna need. And so for this reason, she's the last one when it comes to supporting character. Again, it's one of these characters that I wouldn't really advise to anybody to spend the ticket. And again, unless you really want this character because you're in love with the design, I wouldn't really advise to use your banner for that character. Then we have Tsukuyomi. Tsukuyomi, I was maybe my expectation were a little bit too high when it comes to this character. For the final beta, I built a bunch of team with her, and honestly, I expected the character to perform a little bit better. She was very good in PvP, but when it comes to PvE, she didn't do as good as I thought she was gonna do. Like, after she got announced and I read the kit, I thought she was gonna be a little bit better. So this is why I decided to put her in this position compared to the other supporting character. She's not bad, but unless you really have you have a little bit of experience and you know what team you want to make, mostly for PvP, and use Tsukuyomi, I wouldn't really say otherwise it's a good idea to use her. And not to use her, sorry, to actually pick her with the Selector banner. It's I don't know, man. I'm a little bit conflicted because I really like the character, but I don't think it's worth it. It's worth to use the Selector banner for her in most of the cases, especially because she doesn't help you that much to progress in PvE at the end game compared to the other character that we have in higher position here. So now we can move to Veronica. Veronica got recently buffed in the last patch, and now she was always good. She was a little bit too OP before the nerf, then she got just good, and now she's very good again. Because the main thing from this character is that she can dispel and then give the buff that she took from the enemy back to your entire team, and now that chance has been upgraded to 100%. So she's very, very good. She's also quite useful for Aurora, for example, for the strip that she has for the immunity. Not as good as other character, I would say. She's her main job is not to strip, especially in PvE. Is not the best PvE character in the game, I would say, when it comes to that. But definitely she has a spot for that, and she's very, very good in PvP. So if you like the design and you want to go for PvP, you want to be competitive, definitely she's a good choice. And she also can be used for PvE, even if she's not as good as the other character that we have in the list. And the next one is going to be Klaus. Now, Klaus, arguably, you could say she's the best supporting character in the game right now when it comes to, excluding light and dark character, obviously. And the reason is that most of the turn meter control character got nerfed in the last patch note. She didn't, and she actually got buffed. So now not only she has the turn meter control on the skill 2, she also have the speed debuff in the skill 3. That makes sure that Klaus is going to be a little bit faster as a character, because before, which is still the case for the skill number 2, you need to build up the stack of hacking progress. So she take a little bit longer compared to other characters to provide value when it comes to that. But now that she has the debuff Malus on the skill tree, it's you're gonna get value out of the skill tree like right away when it comes to also slowing down the enemy team. So very, very good, and definitely she gained position now because as I mentioned before, like everybody else that can control the turn meter got nerfed, especially the SR character. So she's gonna be a little bit more important. And then the last character that we have for the support, which is my rank 1, because in my opinion she's the best supporting character in the game, is Biontin. Now Biontin has a very specific kit. She can do a lot of crazy stuff. And she has a turn skip, she has resurrection, she has a very good crit damage buff. She can do some very amazing things. She fit in almost every team, and she can power up almost every DPS. And so for this reason, I would say she's very, very solid as a choice for Selector. I would say ideally you want to use the Selector to make sure that you have like every DPS that you need for Threshold farm. So you want to have a DPS for Doki Doki and Aurora. Now, if you already have that and you still have your ticket, I would say supporting character is gonna be the best choice. And I would go for Biontin or Kloss, depending on the team you want to build and the mode that you want to focus the most. I would say they are the best choice when it comes to supporting character. Very, very good, and they're gonna make your life so much easier when it comes to progress, both from early game up to end game. Then we have Bruiser. Bruiser are gonna be very, very interesting and very, very fun to play, especially when we move on from the speed meta in PvP, in my opinion. They're gonna get a lot of time to shine then. And also that because people at that point will be able to farm Aurora somewhat consistently and have immunity set and all the other endgame PvP set that you're gonna farm there. Now, I'm gonna put Lily in the last spot because she was one of the favorite character before the final beta, in the beta before the final beta. I don't know if that's confusing in English, but it's the only way I know how to say that. And she was very, very good at that time, but then they introduced a bunch of new character. There was a balance patch before the final beta, and even if now she got a small buff, I would say, with the last patch note, she's still not that good compared to literally everybody else in this category. And I didn't see many people using her in high difficulty threshold now because there were a bunch of better options, both when it comes to SSR and SR characters. So for this reason, I will keep her in the last position. Honestly, all the characters in the Bruiser category are very good. So I would say there is like a chance that people will go for Lilith. She's not bad by any means, but it's not that good compared to literally everybody else in this category. So that's why she's the last one. Now Tiamat, before she would have been probably rank 1 here for Bruiser and one of the best options when it comes to the Selector banner. The problem is that she got nerfed 2 times in a row, one time before the final beta and one time now after the final beta. And the last nerf, I would say, was quite big when it comes to her survivability, because she got nerfed both in the survivability kit that she has, but also in the survivability that she would get from Sanya, because Sanya again also got nerfed 2 times. So I kind of feel like they're trying to slow down the progress in PvE, both by nerfing Sanya and Tiamat, which were one of the best combo for beginners, and also by nerfing turn meter control, which is gonna make it a little bit more difficult for character, especially squishy one, to survive. Now Tiamat, obviously she's not squishy, you're gonna build her on HP, but she needs a lot of support from the healer in the team. And now she's gonna need even more because of the nerf she got. So for all this reason, I feel like she got pushed back quite a lot, and that's why she's in the second last spot when it comes to Bruiser. Then we have Elkid. Elkid got nerfed quite heavily before the final beta, but I honestly expected him to perform worse. He's still very, very good. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the shield mechanic in the game because it looks super strong and super good, but it's actually not that difficult to deal with that, especially when it comes to PvP. But still, he's very, very solid character, especially for PvE. And overall, if you already have like supporting character and DPS and you want to pick something from here, is definitely a good choice. I would prefer Rahu or Born for the reason I'm gonna explain soon, but also because I like them more overall as characters. But definitely Elkid, if you like him and you're used to play with him because maybe you used him in the previous beta, is a solid choice. Then we have Rahu. Now Rahu arguably is the best Bruiser character in the game. He was already very, very strong. I don't know why, but he also got buffed in the last patch, which didn't make much sense to me because again it was already very, very good. And now it's one of those characters that need a little bit of time to build up the damage, and this is why I put him rank 2 when it comes to Bruiser compared to Born, which is rank 1, because he can do a crazy amount of damage straight up from turn 1. But once you start to deal damage with Rahu, is an absolute beast, is an animal, and I'm really looking forward to build this character for PvP because I think he's gonna shine quite a lot there. But he also has his spot in PvE even when it comes to high difficulty. The only problem we could say with Rahu is that again it takes long time, like it takes us some time to build up the damage with him. So if you are aiming to farm PvE fast, if you want to progress as fast as possible and have team that can clear everything very fast, maybe Rahu is not the best choice. But definitely if you want to invest into Rahu because you have every other role covered up already by your other character and you want to just pick him because of PvP or because you like him, it's a very, very good choice because it's one of those long-term investments that most likely you're not going to regret unless they nerf him very bad, because he's going to be very, very present, very, very strong in the end game, in my opinion. Then we have Born. Now, Born, I would say, is kind of like the opposite of Rahu. I feel like he's going to fall off a little bit when it comes to end game, but early game for progress is very, very good because he has a stupid amount of damage and it's very, very easy to build because it's just straight up attack. And you don't need to consider crit damage, you don't need to consider crit rate, which also make it easier to build a team with him because you don't need to put a lot of supporting character when it comes to, again, crit rate and crit damage like you would have to do with other character like Rosa. Because his kit is just straight up damage with the highest attack possible. So for this reason, I would say early game is better than Rahu. And then when it comes to end game, he's gonna lose and fall a little bit behind. You might want to use him as a second DPS and not as a main DPS when it comes to end game because again, he's not having crit rate and crit damage is kind of like a double-edged sword. For early game, is gonna make him better than other character, but end game is gonna make him a little bit less good than character like Rosa because she's gonna have much higher potential to do damage, and he's also gonna do less damage compared to Rahu when it comes to Bruiser. I'm not sure about Tiamat because of the nerf that she just got, so we need to see. But yeah, I would say it's still a very, very solid choice for beginner because it's very easy to build, very easy to use, to put into any team, and is gonna make your life much easier for early game progression. Now that's it when it comes to all the characters that you're going to find in Selector banner. When it comes to my plan, because I'm not gonna go for the reroll because I spent during the final beta, so I just gonna go for the rebate bonus. I would say ideally I want to give priority, as I mentioned before, to the DPS, both for Doki Doki and Aurora. My go-to DPS would be Real Mocha for Doki Doki and Rosa for Aurora, and then I'm gonna fill the other slot if I need with like SR characters. I don't really feel like I need supporting SSR character. If I get both of them from the permanent banner and I'm gonna get a ticket left that I can use for some other role, I would definitely go for supporting character or Bruiser. Ideally, I'm kinda tempted to go for Kloss because I wanna build a team with Kloss. I was like theory crafting for a while with this character in mind because I kind of expected Marvel to be nerfed, but also I didn't expect turn meter in general to be nerfed as much as it did in the final patch. So I think Kloss definitely is a very, very interesting option for me right now. Biontine is also going to be very good because I'm planning to build Rosa, as I mentioned, and Rosa and Biontine is a very, very good combo. Also Biontine overall is very good. If I don't go for supporting character, I will 100% go for Rahu. Like out of all the Bruiser, Rahu is my favorite, and I think, as I mentioned before, is a very safe long-term investment because it's going to be super good for PvP. And you're also going to have a spot, like a role in endgame PvE, in my opinion. So I would say ideally it's going to be Kloss or Rahu, depending on what I find in my role from the permanent banner. Let me know in the comment what is your plan, especially for you guys that are going to reroll, so you're kind of like confident that you're gonna have Lily or Mio or Heinrich. I'm kind of curious to know the crazy combo that you guys are gonna do. And yeah, I hope this video was useful. Remember to subscribe, like the video if you like it, and hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye, have a nice day.